you want to just introduce yourself, kind of just your name, where you're from, and what you do and your affiliation with AFERD?
I'm Michelle Huff. I'm from New Jersey. I teach high school and middle school at Metuchen School District in Jersey. And our New Jersey state coordinator for Health Moves Minds, which is Shape America's nationwide initiative. And I'm also Shape NJ's physical education VP.
What are some things that you kind of do for AFERD? I mean, I know you know Judy. We know Judy ourselves. We love Judy. What kind of things do you do for AFERD? Just kind of run me through that.
I became involved with Shape NJ and the board because I really like to help other educators. I know that when I first started teaching, it was other teachers that really helped me, because who better to learn from than others that are going through the same thing and experiencing what you're experiencing. So through Shape NJ, I am our physical education VP. My sister actually is our physical activity VP. So we work hand in hand. We have the Health Moves Minds team that we coordinate different events together for New Jersey. And try to get everyone on the same page. This way, no one's struggling. That's the thing, is like, why reinvent the wheel sometimes when the ideas and strategies that are best for our students, like best practices, are out there. So I do webinars. I've presented in person. And then during, the pandemic, I presented in various states and of course, New Jersey, including Shape America for their national convention, presented on different topics such as, Health Moves Minds, self-care, mental health, all things that whatever I learned and took from others and then utilized in the classroom and with my students, I then was like, let me give back. So that's kind of my role in Shape NJ, is it's time in my life to give back, but I'm still learning too. So it's great.
How would you describe Health Moves Minds? What would you say the mission of Health Moves Minds is?
The mission is to build a kinder and healthier world for our nation's youth. And for example, I have an empowerment group. I had one in the middle school that I taught at, and then I have one in the high school. And our goal and our mission is to just get the word out there and to show empowerment, empower others, encourage others, show kindness, spread kindness, and just let that be the culture of the school. So Health Moves Minds is a bunch of skills that you can utilize in any subject area for teachers, students, and it just helps focus on your overall well-being.
How can schools or individuals join Health Moves Minds?
They can go to Shape America, their website, or healthmovesminds.org, and they can sign up, and they can sign up for free. They have a curriculum and a bunch of different lessons from K through 12. And it's great because one size does not fit all. So I'll utilize various skills and I'll notice which ones my students are like, oh, can we do that again? And like if I go into my 8th grade class and we didn't start class with a mindful minute, they're like, wait, Miss Huff, we need to do a mindful minute. So it's great that even so early in the school year, they've learned this, and it's now something that they can, if they're stressed or anxious at home, they can use a mindful minute, focus on the present, better breathing, muscle relaxation. We've done various things, empowerment. We have a week of respect coming up. So respect is part of Health Moves Minds, and just, advocating.
I reached out to you because you had mentioned that there was a tragedy among two of your students actually in various different tragedies having to do with mental health. So how important would you say it is to check in with your students' mental health and well-being, and how often would you advocate checking in with those individuals?
Yeah, that's a very close to my heart subject. I'm glad that you all reached out um, to make sure that I was okay and to, send your condolences because that means a lot. And I know that going through this experience where losing your kids, like losing students that you taught, and you having to cope with that, and then you see your other kids, like they're coping with it too and struggling with it. And so seeing the outer shell sometimes of people, it may seem like everything's okay, but you never know what's going on inside. So I think it's so important to check in with your students daily, every day, and just make sure every student knows that they're loved, they're cared for, they're wanted. Just making it a, a part of your routine. We never know what someone else is going through. And so seeing, my other, former basketball players and how they would say to me, coach, I wish that I could have seen what was going on, but I had so much going on myself. And those are things that it's like, well, there's resources and places that you can turn to for help. And I think that's so important. And it's something that prior to these tragedies, I know what goes on. Like I know it has happened, but until something, is very close to you, you don't recognize some details that I do now. Now I see postings. Now I see students reaching out and saying, "Listen, if somebody is depressed, seek help. Like if somebody is having suicidal thoughts, like reach out to someone. Like it's okay. Like it's okay." And I never saw that before. And so I think it's creating a whole new vulnerable state for not only teachers, but for the students. So it's something that we're human beings at the end of the day, and we don't know what one another goes through. And so checking in with them and building relationships is key. Is key.
So kind of feeding off that, I mean, so what are some warning signs that you would give to, any guardian or parent or teacher or anybody like that, in terms of what to look out for in your students, either their mental health or their well-being, that you would advise looking out for?
Some warning signs that a child may be struggling with mental health or their well-being could be something like isolating themselves, lack of interest in hobbies or activities maybe that they used to be interested in. Now all of a sudden they're not interested in them anymore. Their mood may alter, their personality, their behavior. So just details that, we all have our own lives going on, but it's important to really be socially aware of what's going on around you and who's in your life, and also connecting with those parents and guardians and connecting with other teachers to make sure, hey, have you noticed a change? Or a counselor. If you recognize these things, ask the counselor, hey, can you speak with so and so? Because I would never want this to happen to anyone. And I know that my former student athlete wouldn't either. Like, and that's why it's so important to bring awareness, because like this has to be something that can save others.
What are some tips that you can give to teachers or educators if they do actually see these signs, and what are some steps that you think they should be able to take and they should take?
So definitely I would, if they're seeing these warning signs, teachers, educators, parents, guardians, if they're seeing warning signs, I would suggest that you talk to them first, but you never want to put someone on the spot. You want them to feel safe and comfortable. So you want to make sure that it's not in front of everyone. Maybe pull them to the side at a time and talk to them one-on-one. See, hey, how is everything going? You also want to make sure that they know that there's resources available and support within the school and the community and how they can reach those resources. And also definitely notify their counselor. And this way they could get further assistance on, whatever it is they're going through, and be sure that you are using all the tools and all the protocols that we have to get them that assistance that they may need.
I don't know, how specific you can get, but, maybe what are some ways that you would advise teachers to check in with your students? How would you advise approaching a situation where a teacher may find that a student may be in need?
As a teacher, I check in with my students daily, and I'll utilize various charts. I could use numbers. I could use different colored hearts. And all of these things, I make it so that other students can't see their answer to how they're feeling. This way they don't feel pressure from their peers. And at the same time, they're able to be open and honest with me. If something's bothering them, they're able to let me know. And maybe they're not ready to talk about it right then, but then another heart could mean, I'm ready to talk about it. Something's bothering me, I'm ready to talk about it. So strategies like that, just a simple, a check-in, how are you feeling? But a way that they can just tell you, even though you could direct it to the whole class. So every individual is letting you know how they feel, but making it so they feel comfortable and safe and not having to share exactly what they're going through with everyone else in their class. So building relationships, being vulnerable too about your experiences, like letting them know maybe things that you have been through. There's there's a stigma around things like therapy sometimes, but I've been to therapy. I've been in therapy and had to, talk to someone, and those things are okay. It's okay to not be okay. And whatever it is that's maybe weighing you down, like let it go, release it. Because if you're holding on to these things, then that's going to stress you out, make you anxious. And that can, it's not beneficial for your overall health and well-being. So, breaking those type of stigmas and showing your kids, your students that you care. They recognize when you care and when you don't. And they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it's very crucial that you build that relationship. If you have extra time after school, go to an extracurricular activity that they're a part of, show up at their play or at their sports game. It'll mean so much to them. And then you build that on that they'll be like, oh, Miss Huff, I scored a goal in the game yesterday. They see that you're seeing them outside of just the classroom, as a person, as, a human being, not just in whatever subject area it is. It really is great to invest in them and then get to know the family too. I call parents and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a bad call. No, call and let them know, your child is doing great. Is there anything I can do on my end or anything you see at home that we can work together to make sure that your child has the most successful education and life and is happy?
That's not funny you say that, but curious you say that, calling home doesn't always necessarily need to be a bad thing. Another teacher that we interviewed for this said the exact same thing.
Wow.
So really, really small world in terms of, everybody immediately thinks oh, you got to call home. And that means, it's going to be a bad call or, what did my kid do today in class? And sometimes it's so-and-so did a really good thing in gym today, or they shared their lunch with somebody who didn't have a lunch. So I think that's super important.